We're in the Big South Fork this morning. It's the middle of July, and days are getting warm, but a couple of things just to look for while you're doing the Rock Creek Loop. This is a wonderful loop that starts at Hattie Blevins Cemetery, and the first part of the trail just takes you across the plateau for about a mile. And there's, people don't come here to walk across the plateau. They come here to do what we're about to do, and that is to go down into the gorge. So we're going to head towards Massey Creek and then on down to Rock Creek, and we'll give you some footage of that gorge as we go along. But there's something in here that is interesting to me and I don't entirely understand, and that is the prevalence of bigleaf magnolia. We were in here in the winter, and I could see the terminal buds they're huge in magnolias, just glittering in the early morning sun. And now we're back, with full leaf extension. And for the last 100 meters, this trail, there have been hundreds of sapling bigleaf magnolias. And I'm just not used to seeing magnolias or thinking of magnolias as being trees that can dominate an area to this degree. Now, as you get some panning up, you can see it gives it, a great, almost tropical feel in here. Certainly the temperatures are tropical. The leaves are huge. And, what is going on? Why are we getting this domination by bigleaf magnolias? Just to fill in a little bit, in our canopy, we've got a lot of sourwoods, a lot of young red maple, black gum, and then a smattering of both white and red oak. So this is pretty typical overstory of the plateau region, and that will change a bit now as we head down into the gorges. So as we work along today, stick with us and we will show you some wonderful footage of the Rock Creek Gorge and then some other maybe cool things to be on the lookout for. We've now come down off of the Cumberland Plateau and we're beginning to start down into the gorge. And we've come across this large bridge across Massey Creek, and this will go on down and eventually carve out an even deeper gorge. We'll show you some footage of that, and then it will flow into Rock Creek. We've picked up the Sheltoy Trace Trail as well as the John Moore Trail, and I'm standing on that. Now, Mary is filming, and she's standing on the Rock Creek Loop. So when you come through here, you're going to see signs for both of those long-distance trails, but this area is nicely signed for Rock Creek. In the summer, you're going to notice about a 5-degree drop in temperature off the rim and a big difference in what you're seeing. I'm looking over right now. This is one of my favorite plants, the sweet pepper bush. This is a mountain pepper bush. It's right here. It has just an incredible fragrance and usually peaks around July 4th. Now I'm looking into an overstory and into an area that's so much different. And this is what we find fascinating about hiking in the Cumberlands, is coming off the plateau and then into just such a different microclimate down into the gorges. So we'll see what we can see as the afternoon goes on. As you're coming along the Rock Creek Loop Trail, or wherever you're walking and you come across lady slippers, you might watch and see if you can find one that is forming a seed capsule. And we're seeing that right here. Now, lady slippers, they have beautiful flowers, and we, so enjoy finding any of them anywhere. But they attract pollinators without really anything to give the pollinator. So you usually think of this as a mutualistic relationship where the classic example, the insect comes in and gets pollen or nectar, the flower gets fertilized, and boy, everybody's happy, and that's a win-win situation, and that's mutualism. Well, in this case, the flower is beautiful, and it sort of calls in particularly bees, and those bees enter the flower and then leave, but they find no nectar and no pollen. Because of that, this plant, in part of its distribution, is limited by its pollination rate. Pollination rates for lady slippers fall down around 5%. So you can see a lot of lady slippers, and you'll see a lot of leaves. And down here, you can see the leaves and parallel venation, typical of a monocot. Of course, these are in the orchid family, and orchid is the largest plant family that we have, over 25,000 species worldwide. And one of the characteristics is they have parallel venation in their leaves. This will form a capsule that will dry out and crack open at multiple sites. And the wind will blow tiny microscopic seeds out and around. If that seed hits and forms a sort of callus with the right fungal mat, it may then germinate. That would be, don't confuse that with something above ground. Nothing will happen maybe for a couple of years before we begin to see something growing above ground. This is extremely dependent, as are almost all orchids, on the mycorrhizal associations. And that's why you should never try to dig these up and move them, because it's the fungus that's so particular that they have to have. Moving these somewhere else means the fungal mat will probably die out. It takes 1 to 2 years, and then the plant will inevitably follow after that. So nobody, these are never for sale that I'm aware of where they have been raised from seed. We don't know how to do that yet, so beware of anyone that would offer you one of these beautiful lady slippers. So they're best enjoyed in the forest. Thousands of seeds from that one, so they don't pollinate very often, but it's a big payoff when they do. We'll talk more about this sort of deception that orchids use as we troll along and as we look at the flowers when they're in bloom.
We're still following Massey Creek, and we're coming down the old railroad line, and this is a great part of the trail because, of course, the grade is so easy and we're looking off on both sides. And while looking over this way, I caught the beautiful red of Trillium capsules. Now, at first, from the path, I thought these were old petals. And this is, July, and these things are in bloom in late April, so I couldn't figure out what was going over, but they are very beautiful, and they are filled, all in here, they are filled with seeds. So trilliums, just think about trilliums are generally thought of as spring ephemerals, which means that in here today you can see we're completely socked in with the canopy above us is heavy. No sunlight's penetrating here, but take all these leaves away and you've got that penetration of sunlight, and that's what spring ephemerals are looking at. They're getting their leaves up before the tree leaves come on, gathering all that sunshine, and then shutting down once the canopy flushes in. And that's what trilliums do unless they're fertilized. If fertilization occurs, they don't shut down. The above ground part of the trillium stays green and stays photosynthetic. You'll notice not only the 3 leaves, and the bracts, everything, the stems, everything about this stays green. And trilliums don't use the stored energy below ground to pay for their seed development. The seeds that are developed in here are, as they trace where the photosynthetic products go, like glucose, after fertilization, the plant leaves and everything, their photosynthetic products go to pay for the developing seeds. And these are just fat with seeds. I'm going to show you in a minute. And that then doesn't take away from its ability to flower next year. Now, these things take 7, 6, 8 years before they can get a flower out. It's slow grow for these. So now they're protecting that by just using the photosynthetic product after fertilization from the leaves is funneled in here, not from the underground roots. Now, this capsule, it's going to open up, and these seeds are going to come out, and who's going to get them? Ants. Ants don't play a very big role in pollination, but they play a huge role in the eastern deciduous forest in seed dissemination. These seeds will have a little wafer around them that is sugar coated. Ants will take that, eat the sugar coating, and discard the seed. Someone calculated that a trillium can expand its range by about 30 feet a year. That's about the maximum distance an ant's willing to carry that seed before it either gets it to its nest or eats the sugar wafer that's around it. So all this cool stuff's going on inside here. And it is just days away from this popping open and these sugar wafer seeds dropping out and the ants carrying them out into the forest. So watch for ants carrying seeds and watch for beautiful trilling.